Ashish. It's very nice of you to taking the time to talk with us today. So we can go ahead and start. I was waiting also for more people to show up. So I'm gonna start from zero, all right? And so my name is Ivy, for everyone who just joined. I obviously work for Tymeshift, and today we're going to be doing something a little bit more different. We're going to be interviewing one of our great customers, Ashish. He works for Build.com. So maybe Ashish, you want to briefly introduce yourself and maybe what your company does, so everyone knows a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so Build.com has been around for about 12, 13 years. What we do is we just really make it extremely simple and efficient for businesses to connect and do business, specifically from a back office perspective, accounts payables, receivables. We have the largest business payments network in North America.
Wow.
And so we're growing, and we're thinking of ways of how can we improve the customer experience for all the different types of customers that we support. It's small businesses to mid-sized businesses in various channels, and some of those are accountants. They use Bill.com to manage their clients. And then we also have partners, which mainly comprise of banks, where we'll partner with financial institutions to allow their business customers to connect and do business either within the bank's network or outside.
All right.
And my role is I lead the customer success operations here. It comprises of 4 areas: our systems and tools, data analytics, project management, and workforce management.
Wow, so a lot of management to be done, right?
Yes.
So you said Build.com has been around for a while, but you've been using Tymeshift, I believe, since 2017, right? So before you started using Tymeshift, did you use another tool for workforce management, or how did you find the need to have this? Is it when you started growing? Maybe a little bit context there.
I wouldn't say we used a tool. We used a bunch of spreadsheets.
Of course. Typical.
And it worked out well, for a certain period of time. But then we just realized, hey, it's 2017. Why are we still in spreadsheets and having so many different issues from a administrative perspective, but then efficiency perspective? And so from a context, we not only just wanted to be more efficient, but we wanted to get better insights into what our team was doing. So we knew that we were going to go through a growth spurt, given kind of the partners that we were in talks with and communication with. We knew we had to plan a little better in terms of not only how we were staffing, but meeting certain metrics like SLAs and customer satisfaction and handle times and things like that. So really at the core of it, we just wanted to get better at how we forecasted and wanted to take the right assumptions into play. And we didn't really do a good job of that. We just looked purely at customer units and then contact rates, and then kind of just took average handle time, the different channels, and really just tried our best to see how much headcount we would need to basically satisfy that level of contacts. And we realized that, hey, there's a lot of different things that are happening today in terms of like occupancy. How much time is our team actually staffing queues? How much of our time is actually being spent on this area or this partner or this channel versus others? And we had an assumption, which we baked into the model, but we didn't really have any concrete data or actual
to
insights.
Work with.
Yeah, and that's when we started looking at other, workforce management solutions and tools that can help us get us to seeing what occupancy was, how we should be staffing to meet certain SLA requirements. And so we were talking to about 3-4 different potential, software providers. And we ended up selecting Tymeshift because we had a huge emphasis and effort on part of scaling the organization or business was just becoming more efficient. And a part of that was centralizing a lot of the systems and tools that we use. We didn't want to make it so that, okay, Zendesk is over here, and then we got to go over here to use our workforce management solution. And we wanted to keep it central, not only from a administrative perspective, but also for our team of agents. We call them advocates. And so we actually allow them to either use Tymeshift right through Zendesk or open it up fully. And what we're noticing is we wanted to give them that flexibility. And we're noticing that they're actually just using the widget that's within Zendesk, since it's centralized to everything that they're doing. And they can see their performance of how they're doing, time tracking, and including their schedule. So as we were in, I know this is probably a long-winded answer, Ivy, but
no, go ahead. That's where
there was a lot of good things that happened when we were speaking with Tymeshift and David in those times. Was we initially went into it trying to get insights into occupancy and tracking, but then we realized, like, wow, this could be an opportunity for us to migrate all of the work we've been doing with spreadsheets and scheduling into Zendesk Tymeshift as well. And that was a huge aha moment that really drove a lot of people kind of ears kind of pricked up and said, wow, this seems like a pretty solid solution. Yeah. And so that's what led us to move forward.
All right. Yeah. So basically growing together is something we offer and we want to be able to do. I did read an article about Bill.com where you said that you like Zendesk because it's a one-stop stop for you. So yeah, I'm guessing that's very important to have everything centralized. You were also talking about your agents. They normally use just the icon inside Zendesk. I'm wondering how your managers use it. So is there a top features they normally use on a daily basis? How does it work for them?
For them, it's mainly around adherence and occupancy from a weekly basis. Adherence is probably more important, and I know it's a common theme in a lot of different call centers or support organizations where you spend so much time scheduling breaks, lunches, who's doing what, and then it's almost like a trickle effect of late break or late lunch, and then everything you really planned for and kind of expected to happen is not actually happening. So
exactly.
We are working towards kind of putting some frameworks, also flexibility, because at the end of the day, we're just trying to service our customers better, and improve the customer experience. So just allowing them to have that flexibility, but not really shake things up too much from everything we've scheduled. So our managers really focus on the adherence and real-time monitoring, and then also occupancy.
Well, yeah, that seems right. And do you have any other roles using Tymeshift for any other purposes, or just team leads, managers, and agents?
We have a bunch of different groups.
Okay.
Kind of all of our frontline functions are all within Tymeshift. Every function that we schedule for is there.
Okay.
I would say it's roughly about 150, 60 people.
Oh, all right.
Including leads and managers.
So everyone. And going back to your agents, is there? I personally love the scorecard, and if I were an agent, I would really like that feature. Is there a feature you feel that they give you feedback, positive feedback more often? Is there something they really like? So whoever is listening to us can also share, and maybe even start using whatever you're using.
The biggest thing for us is our team is very passionate and
very important.
Very, very in tune with, how am I doing? Irrespective to what's expected of me. And the nice thing of what Tymeshift did was provide that level of insight at their fingertips. And so they can click, that widget and see, okay, how am I progressing throughout the day? Because Tymeshift is integrated with Zendesk, and it's looking at kind of everything that's happening. So they're able to see their productivity as the day goes on.
Exactly.
But then also be able to log, hey, I'm going to be on my break or et cetera. And before, we would actually have to post in Slack, look at the spreadsheet. There's a lot of kind of back and forth, and that removed that those inefficiencies once we got going and implemented.
Of course, and it's also it's also about setting micro goals, right? Because if they have an overview of what's happening on a daily basis, then it's easier for them on the long term to reach the goals.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah. All right. And you said you look into adherence a lot. Any other metrics you guys use more on a daily basis, or that's
one of the ones that's biggest for us? Two of the pillars I would say is service levels and customer satisfaction. I think those two are the most important, and then you have schedule adherence, occupancy, other ones, and handle time and things like that. But those two are the biggest ones for us.
Are the biggest ones. I'm also curious regarding your agents. I feel, do you show them the same metrics your managers normally have a look into to evaluate their performance, or do you try to show something more, something that they can actually change, like not a big percentage, but something they can change?
They don't actually they don't see occupancy. That's something that we just kind of keep our eye on and make sure we're kind of around the 75-80%. And if we're running a little hotter, we know that over time that can have a burnout effect. And so we try and stay within our sweet spot and make sure that we're accounting for trainings, one-on-ones, and switching things up for them, so they're off cues but still learning and developing.
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's important. If you look into metrics and see something is off, you can always just tackle it in the moment. And that's also one of the good things of Tymeshift, is everything is in real time. So you can just tackle it in the moment, not have to wait for the monthly ones-on-ones or depending on the workflow, right? So you also mentioned spreadsheets. I'm sure everyone can relate to that. So how has scheduling changed your life with Tymeshift? So before you were just using spreadsheets, and how has it changed now?
I would say it's changed quite drastically in terms of an administrative perspective. So we had at the time we had our leads. It was a rotating schedule that they would kind of go in and prepare for next week's schedule, and it would take days to make sure everyone's bought in. Does this look good? Hey, this is because it was for the whole team essentially. And we could have done it months in advance through spreadsheets as well, but we felt like we didn't have a good grasp on what was going on with and how accurate it would be. And so Tymeshift, when we switched over, the administrative side is very low for us because we have all these shift templates, and we're able to schedule months in advance. And really what we're doing now today is just going in and making intraday changes, which is really helpful. And then like including notes and things like that. So it's definitely improved the experience from an efficient wise from a administrative perspective, but then it's also helped from a advocate perspective, as it's now centralized where they can see their schedule, not having to go somewhere else.
Oh yeah, they can all just see their schedule within Zendesk, even last minute changes. So that's very good. Do you actually have an idea, an estimate of how long it takes now to schedule compared to before? You said maybe weeks, but Just as a fun fact.
I would say a few hours a week.
Okay.
If you know, for the whole week, if that. It really depends on what's going on, or
of course,
you know, if there's call outs and things like that on smaller teams, it's a little, it takes a little more time to just shift things around and make sure there's coverage, and then shift it back. And so I would say it's within a few hours at max. So yeah.
So a lot of hours saved from using spreadsheets.
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
Yeah, we get this a lot. The spreadsheet, they're all over the place. So, how about forecasting? You mentioned forecasting. How has this changed for you? How do you use it? How is it compared to what you used to do before?
Yeah, we started using forecasting, I believe, maybe this time around last year or earlier. And we started using it for one of our partners that we were going to bring on, where we needed a lot of help determining how much headcount or staffing are we going to need to meet certain service levels. And it wasn't just kind of plain and simple service levels. It was very different by channel. And so to give you an example, for email, if an email came in between 5 a.m. and 12 p.m., we had, you know, up until that same day, 4 p.m. to respond. Anything after that, we get the following day up until 12 p.m. So it wasn't, and these are contractual SLAs that we had to adhere to and kind of report on. So it wasn't, it was definitely complex in terms of how do we forecast, make sure we have enough staffing, how do we interchange that staffing? So chat, email, phone. We know there's ebbs and flows with chats and even phone calls. Is there potential opportunity to shift some of that headcount over to email to make sure we're staffing adequately? And so I don't know how many forecasts we did. David could probably tell you it's probably hundreds. But it was extremely helpful because we went through a lot of sensitivity analysis as well, in terms of, okay, if it's this time of the year and we see a spike in customers that sign up versus others, how does that impact headcount? So there was a lot of effort, time, and analysis that went into these forecasting models, but Tymeshift was pretty much hand in hand with us through those conversations, including when the bank partner, you know, had questions. We would actually bring on someone from Tymeshift to help us, and they helped make them feel comfortable, like, oh, this is what it means, these are the numbers, this is how we're getting it, etc. And it went really well. Very happy.
So just let me give a little bit more of context to the people that are listening to us. So Tymeshift has forecasting, but it's in beta right now. And Bill.com, they were one of the first clients to use this tool. So they tested it out, and most of the features and most of how it looks right now, it's thanks to their feedback. So we really appreciate that. And you're also helping Tymeshift grow. So it's very good to work together in that.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, just giving a little bit of context.
We definitely tested a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be tested, right? Trial and error, and that's how things get done. And by talking,
Absolutely.
Sharing feedback it's very important. Yeah, so that's very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. Also, a question I get sometimes is regarding training agents and using Tymeshift. So how do you feel? Do you need to spend a lot of time training them? Is it very simple to use for them? What's their feedback on this, on starting to use a new tool?
Yeah, I think it depends on the function. So as new team members get onboarded, we have an onboarding process that's 2-3 weeks long. A part of that, we train on our different systems and tools. and Tymeshift is a part of that. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, I think when we implemented, we did a train the trainer approach. And so today we have our training team that runs through Tymeshift in those early days for those new hires.
Mm-hmm.
And it's fairly straightforward. We don't, you know, see many issues or concerns. And then even from when team members get promoted internally to supervisors or leads or managers, you know, that's a certain separate set of training we do to get them caught up on, you know, hey, here's this, you know, new level of insights or reporting, you know, how to manage intraday things,
Mm-hmm.
etc. Just in case. But that part has not been a challenge or a problem for us.
Good to know. And for those of you trialing Tymeshift, it's also good to know you don't have to put a lot of effort and time into that. So you said when you promote people within the company, then they start using, of course, the admin side of Tymeshift. Do you have certain people using certain features or in charge of certain features, or is this a little bit overall?
We're currently doing it overall.
Mm-hmm.
I think from the forecasting perspective, our workforce management team handles that. But from a who has access from an admin perspective, we didn't want to create any kind of like bottlenecks or anything like that. So there's the leadership team and above,
Mm-hmm.
essentially, who have access to make certain level of changes.
Okay, yeah, sounds correct. Yeah, and now just a little bit of a fun fact. Do you have like a top 3 features do you want to share with us?
I would say tracking for sure.
Tracking, okay.
Time tracking, scheduling,
Mm-hmm.
and forecasting
Okay.
for us. Even though it's in beta and we're testing it, but it's helped us out considerably.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why scheduling and these thing with the spreadsheets, it always comes up. It's very funny. Everyone always says scheduling. They're very they really like it. So good to know it's also one of your top features. So any other thing you want to actually share with us? I'm gonna some fun facts, some suggestions, anything you want to share with us?
Yeah, I think one of the things I can call out is because we're a financial tech company and our partners are banks, we can't just onboard any software provider. It has to go through a rigorous kind of compliance process.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't actually have any other software partner or provider that has access to our Zendesk. So Tymeshift went through a rigorous process when we were going through discovery, implementation, in terms of not only just our internal compliance process, but our partners, which are banks, getting their approval. And the nice thing is, you know, as you mentioned, like, you know, advocates to managers, like those roles and permissions, that was a huge part of gaining that approval, and who has access to see what within the application.
Exactly.
And access to what types of data, because you're gaining not only just a part of tracking, you're getting insight and access into customer data, and that's very sensitive.
Yeah.
So just to call out, it's you know, for those on this webinar or call that are interested in, you know, security and making sure things are kind of fenced off and who can see what. It's great that Tymeshift has that capability and has helped us quite a bit. Otherwise, it would be a pretty tough situation for us as we not only have existing partners, but onboard new ones. Yeah,
when it comes to security and privacy, it's a very sensitive situation. So thank you so much for sharing this. Maybe some of you had this question too, or this in mind. So I hope that helps. So to everyone who's listening, if you have any questions, you can just go ahead and leave them on the chat right here, and I'll be going through them. Fire away, don't be shy. It's not every day that you have the opportunity to ask a customer what they think of Tymeshift, so go ahead. And maybe we can also, while they think of some questions, I see you are using the enterprise plan. So what actually made you choose this plan? And how do you feel it is compared to the others?
I think with what we were expecting out of a workforce management solution, I think, and what we wanted, enterprise seemed like it was the right fit for us. Given, we wanted scheduling, time tracking, real-time insights or reporting. And then, we started talking about forecasting, and we as we kind of learned and got deeper into conversations, we were just kind of, hey, can Tymeshift do this? Is this possible? Is this an opportunity? And we were looking at this as like being bigger than what we had expected when we started talking to Tymeshift. And so that's why we decided to go with enterprise.
Go with enterprise, of course. So let me just check here if we have some questions for you. So Samuel is asking, what would be one thing Tymeshift has failed at some point, and how did they address it and improved it afterwards? No pressure.
No, I think in the beginning, we had some road bumps in terms of stability. Okay. I think with our growth and probably Tymeshift's growth, there were some probably stability concerns. And then after speaking with you guys, we were able to, I know there's an add-on for a dedicated server. And we realized because this was our solution to workforce management, we definitely wanted to be isolated to an extent, as there was a lot of implications. We didn't want to ever revert back to spreadsheets. This was our solution. We were going to go, full force with it.
Exactly.
And so, we did hit some stability issues in the beginning, but then we did decide to go with a dedicated instance or server. And that, since we did that, we haven't had any, concerns. I'm knocking on, I think it's linoleum here.
It should be wood, right?
But yeah, it's been great. I think that was probably one of the things I can call out, but really it's been going really well so far. So thank you to everyone, to the team there.
And then thank you for sharing it. I think it's also important that, like I said before, we have our customers share feedback, because that's, we want our customers to be happy. We want to improve. So that's always something we really appreciate, of everyone just sharing feedback. And then we can always see if it can be addressed or not, but we really like that. We also have a feedback page that I can share with you guys. So anyone listening here can also share some feedback if you want. So let me see. Laura, she wants to, how can we have access to forecasting? So maybe I can answer this one. So Laura, we have 3 different plans. Forecasting is in beta for the enterprise plan. I'm going to leave you a link for the different plans. And if you have any further questions, you can just email us and we'll talk, okay? And Samuel, Samuel is very curious today. Maybe you mentioned this, but what are the channels you are using? And Samuel says, we use Zendesk Suite, and that makes it harder to have all the data in one place. So this is for you, Ashish.
So we're using chat, email, phone, and web, but we consider web similar or aligned with email. I'm not too familiar with Zendesk Suite, but what we're doing is we definitely centralize a lot of our data. So for reporting from an advocate perspective, it's all within Zendesk, essentially. But we're getting to the point where all of our data from phone, chat, email, etc., Tymeshift is in a data lake, and then we're using a BI tool to report on that from a holistic standpoint. So like product data, sales, so we can get just deeper level insights into the whole business. And so that's what we're doing from a reporting perspective.
Good to know. I hope that answers your question, Samuel. So anyone else, any questions? Let's see if I give them a few minutes. Like I said before, we're always an email away. You can just talk to us. We can schedule a talk with you, but let's see if we have any questions for Ashish today. Ashish, if you want to share anything else, go ahead while we wait.
Sure. I think one of the things, when you think about workforce management, there's kind of three areas: real-time monitoring, forecasting, and then schedule management. And so we're, like you mentioned, forecasting is in beta and it's being worked on, et cetera. And then scheduling and real-time monitoring. Really, Tymeshift has helped us in all those areas. We wouldn't be able to have a workforce management function without having the right systems and tools in place. I think that's a foundation for us, as we're noticing. And so it's been great working with you guys. As to Samuel's point earlier, what road bumps or how did it go? I think, through implementation, we uncovered a lot of things, and like you mentioned, really helped with the forecasting feature and functionality. But the great thing is that, and for everyone else on the webinar today, is Tymeshift is such a great partner for us at Bill.com, because whenever we have a question or, maybe we do experience a bug or issue, the response we get is almost instant. To an extent, you guys are really on it, including, bugs and things like that. And for us, it was features, because it was things that wasn't there. And so I don't think we would be where we are today in terms of efficiency, how we're operating in terms of workforce, if it wasn't for that kind of relationship. So not only do we look for like what types of technologies are you guys using and what are you doing, but just a human element or aspect of, what type of partner are you guys? Do you guys actually care about us? Are you guys, responsive, et cetera? And all of that has been great. So thank you guys very much.
It's very nice to hear that. I know we really appreciate it in the name of the entire company. This is a very good thing you're saying for us. Sorry, excuse me. It's very nice to hear when your work is recognized, right? We have a new question, from Carmen. Does Tymeshift allow agents to do scheduled trades through the tool, or is that a manual process? Ashish, do you want to answer it? Or
I think there is that option. You can on the left-hand nav, I believe there's an option to request a schedule shift or change. And then including, I think there's also an opportunity to request like time off and things like that, all within the app.
Yeah, very good. This actually, I was going to ask you if your agents use this tool too. So it's a very good question from Carmen. Yes, it's not manual. The agents can request to trade shifts, and then what happens is the shifts are unassigned, and someone else, so another agent or another advocate, can go there and assign it to themselves. So to answer your question, yes, it's possible. Any other questions, guys? All right, so let's maybe wrap up if there are no more questions. I know it's Friday, everyone. Well, if you're on this side of the world, my side is Europe, it's almost the end of the day. So Ashish, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing your insights, your story with our customers, and hopefully future customers. I hope this helped you with any doubts you might have. For those of you who are listening, like I said, we're just an email away. We try to answer fast. So yeah, just we can always talk, and just Samuel. Okay, thank you all. Ashish, you want to maybe wrap it up too?
Yeah, thank you to Tymeshift. Thank you everyone for joining. If you have questions for me, feel free to, I'm on LinkedIn. Feel free to ask me messages or questions, or connect with me. So really appreciate everyone joining up today, and thank you, Ivy, for leading the discussion.
No, thank you.
Also,
it was very. Go ahead.
Apologies for the security delays in the beginning.
No worries. It happens to all. It just proves we're human, and I'm sure everyone can relate. So yeah, thank you very much, Ashish, and you all for being here. This will be available if you want to rewatch it for any reason. So I think that's it, right? All right. So have a good weekend, everyone. And I hope we have some emails on Monday from you guys.
Thank you.
All right, have a good weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.